What happens when one of Hollywood's most intelligent, articulate actors meets his match in the most unexpected way? When Benedict Cumberbatch, known for his razor-sharp wit and composed demeanor, sits down with a host determined to break that calm facade. You're about to witness one of the most uncomfortable moments ever to unfold on live television. This wasn't a typical celebrity interview gone wrong. It was sharper, more personal, and it ended in a way no one could have predicted. Benedict Cumberbatch was on The View to promote his latest film, a dark psychological thriller already generating Oscar buzz. For him, it was supposed to be another polite, routine stop on a media tour. Dressed immaculately in a tailored navy suit, he greeted the hosts with his trademark charm. Whoopi Goldberg offered her usual warmth, Sunny Hostin smiled cordially, but Joy Behar's expression hinted at something else entirely. "So, Benedict," Joy began, her tone deceptively casual but edged with challenge, "I have to ask about something that's been bothering me for a while." Benedict raised an eyebrow, poised but curious. "Of course, Joy, what's on your mind?" "It's this whole British superiority complex thing," Joy said, leaning in, her smirk cutting through the polite studio air. "You come over here, take American roles, American opportunities, and then act like you're doing us some kind of favor. Don't you think that's a bit presumptuous?" The room went still. Even the camera operator seemed to hesitate. Benedict didn't flinch. "I'm sorry, Joy, but I'm not sure I follow. I've always been grateful for the opportunities I've had in American film. I certainly don't consider myself superior to anyone." Joy laughed, a sharp, mirthless sound. "Oh, please. The accent, the Oxford education, the way you talk like every word's been weighed by a committee. It's all part of the act, isn't it?" Whoopi shifted uncomfortably. "Joy, maybe we should talk about Benedict's new movie," but Joy wasn't finished. "No, Whoopi, I think people need to hear this. I think our audience deserves to know who they're supporting." Benedict's calm began to harden. "Joy, I respect your right to an opinion," he said, voice low and controlled. "But I'm here to discuss my work, not to defend my nationality." "There it is," Joy snapped, pointing a finger at him. "That tone. That little pause before you speak, like you're explaining something to children. It's condescending, Benedict," Sunny tried to intervene. "Joy, I think Benedict has always been very respectful." "Respectful?" Joy cut her off. "Is it respectful to come into our country and play our icons? Sherlock Holmes, fine, he's British. But Alan Turing, Stephen Hawking, and now American historical figures too? When does it end?" For the first time, Benedict's composure cracked. "Joy, acting is about inhabiting characters regardless of nationality. American actors play British roles all the time. It's not about passports, it's about the craft. Passport color?" Joy pounced, her eyes flashing. "So now you're mocking nationality?" "That's not what I said," Benedict replied evenly. "And I think you know that." Joy leaned back, satisfied. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. You British actors waltz in with your posh accents and fancy training, and Hollywood falls at your feet, while American actors struggle for work. Joy, that's simply not true," Benedict countered, his patience thinning. "The industry is collaborative, global even. American actors work in the UK as well. It's about storytelling, not borders." Joy smirked. "Collaboration. Is that what you call it when you take the role of Dr. Strange? One that could have gone to any number of American actors?" Benedict's voice turned steely. "I auditioned for that role like everyone else, Joy. I earned it." Joy tilted her head. "Oh, but didn't you, though?" she said with a slow, taunting smile. The tension was electric. No one in the studio dared to breathe. "You were handed that accent, that education, that whole polished image that makes American casting directors weak in the knees," Joy sneered. "Tell me, Benedict, do you practice that voice, or does it just come naturally when you're trying to impress people?" The studio went dead silent. Even the faint hum of the cameras felt loud. Benedict's hands, which had rested calmly on the table moments before, slowly curled into fists. When he spoke, his voice was low, dangerously calm. "Joy," he said evenly, "I'll give you one chance to clarify whether you're genuinely interested in having a conversation about the film industry, or if you're simply looking to create conflict for the sake of ratings." Joy's eyes lit up with predatory delight. "Oh, now we're getting somewhere." Look at that, everyone. The mask is slipping. This is the real Benedict Cumberbatch. Not so charming when someone challenges him, huh? Whoopi tried to interject. Maybe we should take a quick break, but Joy waved her off. No, let's hear what he has to say. Come on, Benedict. Show us that famous wit. Give us one of those clever little comebacks you're known for. Benedict stared at her, unblinking, his green eyes fixed with a cold, piercing intensity that made even the camera operator take a step back. When he finally spoke, his words cut like glass. Joy, he said, voice like ice. In my career, I've had the privilege of working with extraordinary people. Directors who push boundaries, writers who challenge perception, actors who bring truth to every frame. But I've also met people who mistake cruelty for honesty and aggression for journalism. I'm beginning to understand which category you belong to. For the first time, Joy's smile faltered, just slightly, before she forced it back into place. There it is, she said sharply. That arrogance I mentioned. You just have to prove you're smarter than everyone else in the room, don't you? Benedict leaned forward slightly, his composure returning, but now laced with unmistakable fire. Joy, you seem to believe that intelligence is something to apologize for. That articulation is a flaw. I find that profoundly sad. Sad? Joy snapped, her voice cracking like a whip. What's sad is watching you act like you're above this show. Above us. I never said that, Benedict replied, his tone gaining strength. But I do believe I'm above personal attacks disguised as journalism. Joy slammed her hand on the table, the sharp sound making everyone flinch. Personal attacks? I'm asking legitimate questions about privilege and opportunity in Hollywood. You just can't handle someone calling out your advantages. My advantages? Benedict repeated, his voice tight but controlled. Joy, you know nothing about my background, my struggles, or the work I've put in to get where I am. You're making assumptions based on stereotypes and prejudice. Prejudice? Joy laughed, feigning shock. Oh, that's rich. Now I'm the prejudiced one? Listen, I've been in this business longer than you've been alive. I know privilege when I see it. Being in the business a long time doesn't make you right, Benedict shot back, his voice finally rising. It just means you've had more time to perfect your biases. The other hosts sat frozen. Sunny Hostin looked like she wanted to disappear under the table, while Whoopi kept glancing toward the control room, silently pleading for someone to cut to commercial. Joy leaned in, venom dripping from her tone. You want to talk about bias, Benedict? Bias is when a mediocre British actor gets cast as an American icon because some studio executive thinks an accent makes him sound smarter. Bias is when Hollywood overlooks real American talent because they're not exotic enough. Mediocre? Benedict's voice dropped to a deadly quiet. Did you just call me mediocre? If the shoe fits, Joy said with a shrug, clearly savoring every second. I mean, really, what have you done that's so groundbreaking? You played a detective that already existed. You played a few historical figures. And then you ran around in a cape. None of that takes real creativity. Benedict's hands trembled slightly, from rage, restraint, or both. Joy, I've spent my career trying to bring depth and honesty to every role I've taken. To have that dismissed so casually is what? Joy interrupted mockingly. Hurtful? Welcome to the real world, Benedict. Not everyone's gonna bow down and tell you how brilliant you are. Some of us actually have standards. Benedict let out a bitter laugh. Your standard seems to be humiliating guests for entertainment. Is that what passes for journalism on this show? Joy's face flushed red. Don't you dare question my journalism, she snapped. I was asking tough questions while you were still figuring out which fork to use at dinner parties. Benedict rose slowly from his seat, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. There it is again, another assumption about who I am. Another stereotype about class and privilege, Benedict said sharply, his patience finally gone. You know nothing about my childhood, Joy. Nothing about my family or how I was raised. Yet you feel completely comfortable passing judgment based on your own assumptions and prejudices. Sit down. Benedict, Joy ordered, but her voice lacked the confidence it once had. I don't think I will, Benedict replied, his tone gaining force with every word. I came here expecting a professional discussion about my work. Instead, I've been subjected to a character assassination, fueled by your resentment toward British actors, not by anything I've actually said or done. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Joy scoffed, trying to regain control. It's just a conversation. A conversation? Benedict repeated, eyebrows raised. You've called me arrogant, privileged, mediocre, even undeserving of my own career. You've mocked my education, my accent, and my nationality. In what world is that a conversation? In the world where celebrities don't get to hide behind their publicists and carefully crafted images? Joy fired back. I'm giving you a chance to be real for once, to show people who you actually are. Benedict stepped closer to the table, his presence commanding the room. The air in the studio grew heavy. Real? He said quietly. You want real, Joy? Here's what's real. You've spent this entire interview trying to tear me down, not because of anything I've done, but because of what I represent to you. You see someone whose success challenges your worldview, and rather than confront that honestly, you chose to attack. I'm not attacking you, Joy protested, her voice cracking slightly. You called me mediocre, Benedict said, his words slicing through the silence. You questioned my worth. You mocked my background and my education. If that's not an attack, what exactly would you call it? For the first time, Joy faltered. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The audience sat in stunned silence. Benedict continued, his voice growing steadier, stronger. The saddest part of all this, Joy, is that you had an opportunity to have a meaningful discussion about the global nature of our industry, about art, collaboration, and creativity across cultures. Instead, you chose to make it personal. I was just trying to... Joy began. No, Benedict cut in, his voice firm and deliberate. You were trying to create a moment, something you could turn into a viral clip. Well, congratulations, Joy. You got your moment. The silence that followed was deafening. When Benedict reached up to unbutton his suit jacket, the sound seemed to echo across the studio. He turned to Whoopi and Sunny, his tone softening. Whoopi, Sunny, thank you for having me. I'm sorry the conversation turned out this way. You can't just walk out, Benedict, Joy called after him, panic creeping into her voice. We're not finished here. Benedict turned back one last time, his expression calm but resolute. Yes, Joy, we are finished. We were finished the moment you decided that personal attacks were more important than professional discourse. Joy pushed back from her chair, scrambling to regain control. Benedict, wait. You're overreacting. This is what we do here. We have honest conversations. Benedict stopped at the edge of the set and looked back, his voice like ice. Honest conversations? There was nothing honest about this. You came armed with preconceived notions and personal grudges that have nothing to do with me or my work. I was just asking the questions that needed to be asked, Joy said, her tone shaky now. No, Benedict replied, every word deliberate. You weren't asking questions. You were performing. You were putting on a show at my expense. There's a difference between journalism and cruelty, Joy, and you crossed that line the moment you called me mediocre. Whoopi finally stood, trying to salvage the wreckage. Benedict, please, let's just take a breath. Benedict met her gaze, his expression softening for the first time. Whoopi, I have the utmost respect for you and what this show represents. But I won't sit here and be insulted for the sake of spectacle. As he turned to leave, Joy made one final attempt, her voice trembling with false bravado. You know what, Benedict? Maybe the truth just makes you uncomfortable.